Welcome to Muse Interviews with Shenna, and today we are diving into the inspiring journey of an incredible small business from Canada, right? That's empowering service-based entrepreneurs and how to grow and scale with confidence. Joining us today is Kendra. She is the proud owner of Clear Direction Advisors, and they are known for helping service-based entrepreneurs grow and scale with confidence by refining their offers, providing clear hiring roadmaps, and implementing systems that keep more money in their pockets. Today, we'll learn more about how she got started, the lessons she's learned along the way, and what sets Clear Directions Advisors apart. Whether you're a fellow entrepreneur, business owner, or someone looking for inspiration, this conversation is for you. Let's get started. Hey, Kendra, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm good. I am so excited to be here. I've been watching my calendar.
That's awesome. We had to kind of push back because you were doing something amazing. We can talk about that later, and we'll definitely share all of the links in the show notes. What inspired you to start Clear Direction Advisors? Like, what's the story behind its creation?
Well, a little part of it is entrepreneurship is absolutely in my blood. I
Mm,
am a second generation entrepreneur, or sorry, second generation accountant, third generation entrepreneur. So I followed in my dad's footsteps, becoming an accountant. And in the 80s, he started his practice, and technically he's semi-retired at 81. He still does some work. So come by the accounting, honestly, because I am a former CMA, CPA. My mom owned a craft store when I was a kid, right? So I saw that from the build up to her deciding I really like a pension versus being an entrepreneur when my dad already had his business. And then I grew up my entire life with my gramps being a self-employed carpenter.
mm,
So when I decided to go and get my accounting designation, it was all it right. Everything I took was all about business because that's the
mhm,
difference with the certified management accounting at the time was we didn't just go, oh, here's your numbers, here's your accounting. It was looking at human resources and international business and marketing and systems design and right. And of course, accounting, because you
mhm.
can't get an
Yeah, yeah,
accounting
yeah.
designation without accounting.
Mhm,
But it was just sort of one of those things that throughout my life, it almost seemed inevitable, right? That
mhm,
I knew at some point I was going to start a business and just came to this one point in my life where I went, you know what? I've done the accounting thing as an employee. I've helped people with their own business plans and giving them financing. I've done recruiting and can't sell people to sell my life or save my life. And I went, it's my time,
mhm,
right? So decided to originally start as accounting because that's what I knew. But through doing that and some of the other stuff that I was doing in there with teaching people about starting their businesses and stuff, I just realized the day-to-day accounting's no, right? Like I like helping people actually develop that strategic plan so they know how to actually reach their goals, right? This is
mhm,
their vision for the company. This is what they need to put in place to do it.
mhm,
And the numbers will never go away because let's be honest, once an accountant, always an accountant. So
mhm,
that's a core piece of what I do, but it's bringing the whole business together so that you actually understand how everything works together because my entire life, that's how I've looked at business.
right,
That's
right.
right. Probably a combination of having three people in my family running businesses, my education and the conversations, right, of businesses all interconnected. And so I want to help service providers see their business in that way and
Mhm,
know that it's not just here's your accounting silo, here's your marketing silo, here's your human resources silo, right? Here's all my operations. No, they all have to work together.
Amen. Yep, yep.
Yeah. Right.
Mhm,
So it yeah, it was just that's what I love doing. I love talking to people. When I talk to people about their business, I actually see how it all connects,
nice. Cool.
right? Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so, and talking to a lot of people, they kind of, it's their little silos. And that's great because I'm not going to be developing somebody's logo. I'm not going to be developing their entire marketing strategy. I will help you get it off the ground, but you need to go talk to somebody else to really go with it and fly, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can give you the basics of hiring, but I'm not going to be the person going out and finding the right people for you. There's
Mm-hmm.
people who specialize in that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not going to do your bookkeeping
Mm-hmm.
or your taxes, but I'm going to help make sure that the reports that you're getting out of your systems that are set up for your specific business, you as a business owner understand what your profit and loss statement is telling you,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that it's actually in a way that makes sense for you. Make sure
Mm-hmm.
you understand what your balance sheet is.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you understand your cash flow,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's all of that, but I'm not going to be the one who's doing all the day-to-day stuff behind it.
Right.
I'm going to
Right.
help you with the big picture and the strategic plan and keep you accountable to make sure you're doing what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Really
Tell
fun.
tell us more about we we had to push this interview back a little bit because you had something exciting that happened.
Well, somebody that we mutually know, right? Maria Platusik, fantastic rebranding specialist. I went to her, and that is where I said, I don't do this day-to-day, right, stuff. I went to her because her specialty is rebranding. So the reason we got this pushed back is that her and I were working on my rebrand for Clear Direction Advisors.
Got it. And then it was from the day-to-day bookkeeping, actual accounting to now more of like a 50,000 foot view of your business, making sure all of these gears are working and working together and make the
Yeah.
car go essentially. Right.
I was already doing that when I started to work with Maria, but
Mm,
my visuals and um even being in my own business, right? I was overcomplicating my messaging, right? Where I
mm-hmm,
can simplify it for everybody else,
mm-hmm,
right? You're too involved in your own business, and I'm guilty of that, right? And so Maria helped me pull visuals together, which are absolutely awesome. I love them.
mm-hmm.
And simplified my message down to something that's very easy for people to understand,
Right,
right?
right. Mm-hmm,
So, um, that is, I'm going to say we're probably about 90% done at this point. Probably by the time this airs, it'll be 100% done.
mm-hmm,
But no, like that's one of those things where it's like looking strategically at my own business. I knew it was time to take that step and go, no, now I need to go work with somebody because my visuals, my brand didn't fit what I was doing. It was still
mm-hmm,
a lot of that accounting stuff, even though I was
mm-hmm,
moving away from that,
mm-hmm,
right? And already doing business plans, already doing strategic planning,
mm-hmm,
and doing that with my accounting clients too,
mm-hmm,
but now bringing on those people that was the main focus of what we were
mm-hmm,
doing.
mm-hmm.
So
Cool.
it's sometimes you have to step back sometimes and get help in your own business, even when that is something you provide for somebody else.
No, I think it's important that we do, right? Because we can it's kind of like, essentially it's like coaching a game. If you're a player, and I do this all the time, my kids are basketball players, and I always I put them on video. I mean, the highlights are nice. Like it's always nice to, see them shoot, see them all of that. But a lot of it is when I talk to them and I tell them, here's what you're doing. Because when you're in the action, you don't know what's happening. You're just trying to make sure the ball gets in the hoop. But
Yep.
you don't know that hey, you're not screening for your teammates, or hey, you're passing to someone who's probably not open, things like that. And so I feel like we all I'm a huge fan of having a coach, having someone look at your business, because we can't read the label from the inside the bottle, right?
Absolutely not. And I've had coaches over the years and worked with people and stuff. And that's the biggest thing is that, yeah, you're so immersed in your own business. You need somebody to help you step back and take
Mhm.
that overview and
Yep.
sort of go, have you looked at it this way, right? This
Mhm.
isn't working. Let's do it this way. Let's look
Yep.
at this and clarifying things that, again, you're so immersed in it that you just go,
I didn't know that.
that makes sense. Right.
Yep. 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 What makes clear direction advisors stand out in the industry?
Me. Uh,
Amen. Amen.
right?
Mhm.
Um, there are other business strategists out there. I know that there are people, accountants who do the fractional CFO roles and things like that. I actually work with some of them in terms of helping them out. It's me. It's because nobody else has my experience or my way of looking at business and my way of explaining things. And that's what makes Clear Direction Advisors different, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like to call myself a blue lobster,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I used to call myself a unicorn, but I don't anymore because those are
Right.
mythical creatures that don't actually exist. Whereas blue lobsters are rare and they're real, but they're beautiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the thing, right?
Love that.
Nobody else is going to be able to replicate the way that I can explain something the way that I'm going to see a business.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Amen. You work with service-based businesses. What kind of niche is in your clientele list right now? Like what kind of services? You mentioned professional CFOs.
It, yeah, fractional CFOs and accountants work with right like currently working with also IT, VAs,
Mm-hmm.
people in the medical profession like therapists and that sort
Cool.
of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't particularly niche beyond the service providers
Mm-hmm.
aspect of things, mostly because, and this is again one of those, I guess, unique things about me is that it doesn't really matter what your industry is. Every business at its core is the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what matters is what you're providing to your clients and how you're actually helping them. And then what's all the back end stuff that your clients don't see that you need to have to run your business well,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's typically those service providers that have been in business for a few years, right? They're making good money, but they look at the bottom line and go, I'm not making enough for what I'm bringing home,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's some sort of disconnect here and something's not working.
Mm-hmm.
They typically have a team, regardless of whether that team is contractors or freelancers or employees, right? But they're trying to leverage their team to grow, which is not only going to help them as the business owner, but help their team too,
Right. Mm-hmm.
right? Because when
Yeah.
the business succeeds, the team's going to succeed.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. What has been your proudest moment as a small business owner?
It's hearing and seeing the light bulb go off for people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Actually, just a couple of days ago, I was speaking with someone and we had talked about um, their messaging, right? Like their messaging wasn't very clear. They weren't getting enough of the right people in. Their ideal clients weren't coming to them. And we made just a little shift in the way that they talked to them about themselves. And they messaged me and they went, I'm already getting people coming to me for that,
Nice.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the fractional CFOs that I worked with when we first started working together, they were newer in their business, and they were like, well, my ultimate goal, my vision for my company is to be a fractional CFO and have a team of people doing the traditional accounting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well,
Yeah.
that's fantastic, right? How are you doing this? And they were like, oh, well, I'm just going to start marketing myself as an accountant and a tax professional. And I said, why? Start where you want to end. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you do that, people, you say you're a fractional CFO and you're talking about all this stuff, people are going to come and say, hey, can you do my books for me? Can you do my taxes for me? Oh, and by the way, I also needed to do the fractional CFO work for me.
Mm.
They went away and because they were kind of like, I don't know about that. They came back to me the next day and they went, I hate you. You were
Mm.
right. Right. Like that light bulb moment, or the fact, like I've talked to a lot of people looking at their statements when we're setting up the analysis piece of it so that we can
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of that stuff. What is your team costing you? Where's the sales coming from? And how can we leverage your ideal clients and all that?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, your reports are yours. They're not
Mm.
for your like for whoever's preparing your taxes. They're not for the government. They're for you.
Mm-hmm.
And they went, nobody's ever told me that before.
Mm.
And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, but that's what they're there for.
Right.
Like
Mm-hmm.
whoever's preparing your taxes can change it so that they can pull it out and make it so it fits.
Right.
That's what the software's for, right? There's
Mm.
settings for that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Your internal reports are for you. And so
Mm.
they make tweets and like, this is so much better. I'm getting so much better information.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love. That's like the best part of my job, is sitting there and regardless of what it is getting that light bulb moment where they go, "Oh, this makes sense. This is so much easier now."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. That is so cool. Very, very cool. Um, what is your, as we wrap up, I would love to ask you, like, what's your best advice for service-based businesses in our audience who are kind of maybe thinking about actually, you know what? Getting an advisor, a consultant, or a coach
Yeah.
when it comes to these things.
Even if you think you're not quite there yet, look at doing it anyway, because
Mm-hmm.
you need the help to get to the next stage,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even at those times where maybe you're going, oh, I don't know, having that person, whatever it happens to be, whoever they are and whatever support they're giving you, that person's going to help you jump and leap forward and grow in leaps and bounds faster than you can do it by yourself,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even if it's just you're going, well, I can't do, a 12-month coaching program, or I can't get somebody on board for 12 months. Find somebody who can do it for 3 months or 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or find somebody that's going to help you along the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's and being able to step back and go, no, that cost me a little bit of money, but that just shot me forward so much faster, right?
Mm-hmm. So it became an
That
investment.
it's exactly, it's you're
Mm-hmm.
investing in your business. And the other side of that is, when you're talking to people about stuff, make sure you have the right information,
Mm.
right? Because that's one of the things that I've seen a lot of times is people trust the wrong people, and they aren't doing sort of their own investigative stuff, and they've set their businesses up wrong. They don't
Mm.
have a strategic plan. They're
Mm-hmm.
not, and they kind of go with blinders on.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
even though you need to get that help, you still have to take your personal responsibility because
For
it's your
sure. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's yeah, go out, get the help, and have a plan. Because
Mm.
I've seen businesses same way. They go and they go, I'm gonna throw spaghetti at the wall and see what happens, right? And it doesn't work. You think it
Right.
does, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think at a startup phase, that's not a bad strategy. But once you start gaining traction, once you move from hobby to business, then it's like, all right, now we need to have like a growth plan, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then yeah, and absolutely, you have to try different things. You need to figure out what it is that you want. Your vision's going to change a little bit. Your goals are always going to be a moving goal
Yeah.
because you'll reach one and change it. But if you don't, even at the beginning, don't start with some sort of plan in place, going, this is what I want to build,
Yep.
it's not going to work,
Yeah, for sure.
right?
I agree.
It
Mm-hmm.
it kind of falls
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I'm a massive believer of 90-day plans because, if you don't have a plan, you're just gonna follow your mood, your emotions, and what they're telling you, right? But if you do have a plan and you know that you have to stick to it for 90 days, you just sit down and do the work.
Well, exactly. And when it comes to different pieces, right, they say, especially when it comes to messaging and marketing and all that stuff, a minimum of 90 days to see if it works,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And it's
Yeah.
with like that with any strategy. Try it for
Hmm.
90 days at least, see if
Hmm.
it's working, and then you go in and tweak it. Then you
Yeah,
make
for
your little
sure.
changes, but you
Yep.
don't necessarily burn it all down.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
tweak it and analyze it and make the changes that need to be without going kaboom.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, stories, wisdom. It's been a pleasure learning about Clear Directions and the amazing work that you're doing. For our listeners who'd love to learn more about what you do, where's the best place to connect with you?
Facebook or LinkedIn. I've got a Facebook page, Facebook group, and I'm on LinkedIn as Kendra Vyse.
Perfect. And then so I'll have all of those links for you guys in the show notes. And I know that Kendra is putting together something amazing for us, and I'll also have that link in the show notes. Thank you again, Kendra, for being part of Muse Interviews. To our listeners, if you need help growing and scaling your service-based business, check out cleardirectionadvisors.com. I'll also have a link to her brand new rebranded website as well. I'll provide the
Absolutely.
links. I'll provide the links in the show notes. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Sandra.
Well, thank you for having me.